Are we going to call the meeting to order? Everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to make one change to the agenda. The public comments will take place after the election and seating of officers. Public comment will take place after the election and seating of officers. Is there a motion to approve the change to the agenda?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
No, you may not have discussion. You may not have, you're out of order, and if you continue, I'll have you removed from the meeting. You're out of order. You are out of order.
Question.
Yeah, that's right. You're out of order.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, I just want to understand the logic behind the change in the agenda.
The change is that I made a mistake in putting it at, yeah, I'll have you removed also. If I made a mistake in putting it in that order, routinely it is done after the elections are done. That's it. I made a mistake in putting it in. That's the only reason. Any further discussion? All in favor of the amended agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is amended as moved. I have no remarks except for today we are here to vote on the results of the prior election and to sit new board members and elect the new officers. So any comments, when we do get the public comments, should be limited to those areas. The next item is the election committee report. Carol?
Good morning.
Hi, Carol Ludwig, 5 Sandpiper Lane, Chairman of the 2022 Elections Committee. Last election, we sent out 7,999 ballots. We returned 3,041. They were counted. 710 members were ineligible to vote. Out of the ballots, there were 38 that were considered invalid. We had a couple of duplicates, improper envelope use, and we actually got a referendum vote in November. The total late was 290 were the total late votes. So the grand total of votes returned was 42% of those sent out. The ballot count held by the Ocean Pines Election Committee on October 20th, 2021, results were in ballot order: Frank Daly, 1,571, Stuart Lackernick, 1,511, David Hardy, 941, Rick Farr, 1,629.
Is there a motion to approve the election results?
Point of order. So what the proper protocol is, we accept the information from the elections committee. There's no vote to approve the election.
So the difference this year is that the court has ordered these results, and we can accept them as they are or vote to accept the judge's order.
No, that is not proper protocol, nor is it proper Robert's Rules of Order.
Well, it's fine that, I'm willing to accept the results as they are.
And that is the proper protocol there.
So, Mr. Farr, you're welcome to be seated as a board member. Before that, Frank Brown, I'd like to thank you for your 1.5 year service
filling in for the time period that Steve Tuttle after he resigned. So thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, it's at this point we're going to vote for officers. Frank Daly is on the phone and he is in Florida. He will be texting his vote to Josette Wheatley for each officer. Is there nominations for president?
I'll do a nomination. I'll
Who's that?
nominate you, Larry. I think what our community needs more than anything is consistency. And I think that our community needs consistency and stability. And we have not had that in a while here. And we need to learn to work together. We're grown-ups. Thank you.
Thank you, Josette, but I've been president for 18 months now, and I think it's time for someone else. So I'm not going to accept that nomination.
Thank you.
You know, if you keep it up, I will have you removed. This is not time for public comments. Please be quiet. No. Are there any further nominations? I nominate Colette Horn. Any other nominations?
I nominate Doug Parks.
All right. Any further nominations? All right, with that, please put your name on the card, and Josette Wheatley will collect votes.
This is just for Doug, right?
I got it. Yep. Congratulations, Director Horn. You are the new.
And what was the vote count?
It was 4-2. 4 votes for Colette Horn and 2 for Mr. Park. Thanks, man.
It's your meeting.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to be doing the vote for vice president. Are there any nominations for the vice president's position?
I'd like to nominate Frank Daly.
Any other nominations? Okay, so by acclamation, Frank Daly will be the vice president. And nominations for the secretary position, I would like to nominate Josette Wheatley. Any other nominations for secretary? Josette Wheatley, sorry. No other nominations? Okay, so by proclamation, Josette will be the secretary. Acclamation. Any nominations for treasurer?
Me?
Doug Parks, nomination for Doug Parks.
Larry, if you're available, I don't know if you're interested, but I'd like to. I don't think just one should be nominated here.
Oh, accept it.
So you're nominating
I'll
Larry
nominate
Perrone. Okay. Any other nominations for treasurer?
Doug Parks, treasurer.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Okay, so please enter your vote on a ballot and Josette will pick them up. Okay, please come to order.
So I have 2 for Doug and I have 4 for Larry.
Okay. So Larry, you will be the treasurer. Now we need to do appointments for the following positions. The treasurer was 4
4 to
for Larry Perrone and 2 for Doug Parks. Can you guys hear me with this mask? It's hard to project. It's hard to project anyway. But, so appointment for the assistant secretary position. In the past, that position has been filled by the executive assistant to the GM. In the light of that vacancy, the GM has requested that we appoint Linda Martin in that position as in an acting position until we get the executive assistant position filled. Assistant treasurer, that traditionally has been filled by our director of finance. Our general manager has requested that we continue that practice, and so we will be appointing Steve Phillips for that position. Legal counsel, we are continuing to use Lurch, Early and Brewer as our counsel. So we will be appointing them again. The auditors that we're using are TGM. They've been bought by another company whose name has not been given to me yet, but the general manager has requested that we approve the auditors as TGM. And for Parliamentarian, my suggestion is that we continue with our lead counsel, and that is Jeremy Tucker. And so if we could vote on these as a group of positions, is everybody in favor of voting as a group? Yeah. That's fine. Okay.
Yes.
So all in favor of accepting those appointments as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now it's time for public comments. And as stated earlier, the comments are limited to the items that are on the agenda today, and the time limit is 5 minutes per comment.
Tom Janicek, 17 Lookout Point. I wasn't going to come back and comment because I figured it didn't carry any weight, but since commenting before the election of the officers wasn't allowed, apparently it wasn't going to collect any weight that way either. To say that you want to go with consistency and keep this regime running this board is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I swear. In the last year and 4 months, we have lost probably one of the most productive employees we've had in Ocean Ponds. We've lost 3 count them, 3 board members. Never in the history of Ocean Pines have we lost 3 board members in less than a year that have resigned. For different reasons, but still have resigned. 3 board members. Now our GM is leaving. No idea if that has anything to do with the politics of this board. But what I do know is that this board, this regime that's been running this board for the last year and 4 months has did nothing but create divisiveness within the board and within Ocean Pines. That's all it's done. And you've just reelected them for 8 more months. Just did it all over again. So I pray and I hope that you know what you're doing. And I want to say this. I was in this for a year and a half, and I was never it was never seen as such dysfunctionality until the last year. I want to implore you all, as hard as it may be, to try and work together. It is a board of 7. For the last year and a half, it's been a board of 4, never a board of 7. Other 3 people were never included in any decision, unless to try and influence their vote on something personal. This has not been about Ocean Pines. It's been about personal egos. That's it. I'm sorry. You may not believe me, but that's what it's been. I was there. I felt it. I had the brunt of it short of me for 5 months. You could say it was my fault, but I know it wasn't, because a week after I left, they tried to go after another board member immediately. So it wasn't just me. I can tell you right now. I want to thank Rick Falk for going all out to get on this board, to get on this dysfunctional board, spending all of his money, more money than a couple of the board members thought he would spend, and he would just back off because he would run out of money. Kind of like the Slobodan referendum, same thing. A couple of board members, he'll never spend any more money to get this referendum through. Let's just play it out and pay more lawyers' fees. Well, $100,000 later in lawyers' fees for dysfunctional crap, here we are with the same board. I will tell you now, I still can't believe I couldn't speak before the board election, but I appreciate you running. Thank you very much for being there. Good luck this year. Amy, you can throw me a drink at the pool bar when you have your free pool swim membership this summer. I appreciate it. I'll be sitting on the corner. And I'm going to formally announce my bid for re-election for next year's pool.
My name is Kelly Miller. I live on Pinehurst Road. I've never run for anything in this community. I've been here for 4 years. The way I was treated by Amy Peck through this election process is abominable. I'm a private citizen. You doxed me 3 times in public forums. I asked you to stop. You did it again twice. You don't know where I come from.
This is not a topic for this meeting.
It is a topic
The
for
public
this meeting
comments are
because my
confined.
life-
The public comments are confined to the agenda items. They're not confined to things outside of this.
To this election.
This election is not part of, the election results are on the agenda. You are out of order, sir.
And it better
You
not
are
happen
out of
again.
order.
You're out of order. You're all out of order.
I'm not a lawyer. Slobodan Trendik, 20 Drawbridge Road. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to make this comment prior to the appointment of the officers because my comment is very relevant. First, I want to thank John Viola for the excellent work he's done. I'm sorry that he stepped away. I also want to thank Rick Farr for his sustained marathon run. He stood for the right thing on behalf of the entire community, and I applaud him for those efforts. I'm also going to challenge him to do the first act today as a sitting board member because I think it's the right thing to do. Somebody on this board needs to start following the bylaws. Might as well start with Rick Farr. So, your agenda is incorrect. I don't know why is it so difficult for you to understand the bylaws. Doug was right to question Larry Perrone's agenda intent. So I'm going to read this from our bylaws. Yes, I was on the board and I took the time to study them and I obeyed by those bylaws. Every action I
Slobodan,
took.
this meeting is not about
It is
procedure.
about the
agenda.
On
You
your
are out of
agenda,
order.
listen, on your agenda is the officer appointments. My comment is related to the officer appointments.
Okay.
You did not comply with the bylaws. The bylaws require Section 505, Article 5, the board to hold an organization meeting. This is a special meeting. This is not organization meeting. The language says
This meeting is
the
held.
board shall hold organization meeting. Now, what is so difficult to understand about that? So I think what Rick should do is submit a motion to revoke the appointments, and you should schedule organization meeting and comply with the
Let me address
bylaws.
this. This meeting is a special meeting because there was no quorum at the yearly meeting. It makes it a special meeting, and during that meeting, we do the organizational things. So
No,
you may think
that is-
you may
that
think
is
you know
not
the
true.
bylaws, but you don't.
That is not true. That is not true. All you got to do is read as a homework the bylaws. And it clearly spells out that the board shall hold organization meeting. This is special meeting to accept the results of the election. That's what you did, and that's what the special meeting
This is a
is.
special meeting. We are conducting that purpose, and we are going forward with the organizational meeting items. The agenda was approved by this board.
You're
and
either
we
going
are
to follow
going
the
to-
bylaws or change the bylaws if you don't like the language. But you cannot
bylaws
just skip the meeting that is required to be held by the board. Organization meeting, and it clearly states the purpose for that meeting, to appoint the officers. But that organization meeting needs to be standalone, needs to be recorded in our...
There's nothing in the bylaws that says it
association
needs to be
governing-
standalone, and you are out of order in
I'm
questioning
not out of
the
order.
agenda
Do
that
not
was
tell me that
approved
I'm
by
out of
this
order
board
because
today.
I'm making a comments related to the agenda, period. You cannot change the rules on the fly, okay? Now, I guess what we need to do next is start removing board members for not complying with the bylaws. I guess that's the next thing left to do because there's nothing else we can do.
A purpose for
Have at it.
removal
You're
of,
out of order. You're interrupting my comments.
I can interrupt your comments.
You
and I
can?
believe your time is
No,
probably.
she chairs the meeting, not you.
It doesn't-
Slow
You
it
have to be
down.
recognized
prevent
first.
Another director from
Doug,
talking.
you're a parliamentarian. Teach him something.
He's not the public.
Thank you.
any other public comments? Okay.
Good morning. Tom Schwartz, 198 Ocean Parkway. Whoever. Excuse me, let me turn this off. Good morning. I have a follow-up to the election process, and I would recommend now that the tally has been public and put into the minutes, that the third ranking person on the election, Stuart Lackernick, be appointed to the board, and the temporary appointment that was made because of the snafu and things that the board did previous and during the court proceedings should be dismissed with thanks, and Stuart should be appointed as the replacement for that. This would balance out the board. It would be to the will of the people. He recorded 1,511 votes.
Mr. Schwartz, I'm
Yeah.
going to interrupt you.
Sure. For a moment.
The reconsideration of the appointments is not something on the agenda for today's meeting.
Well,
So it's not open
my
to public
comment
comments.
is you should consider it at the next meeting. And at what time does anybody allowed to make a comment about the structure of the board? This is
You
the
are
structure
welcome
of the
to
board.
come to the meeting on the
Okay.
22nd and
Colleen,
raise
you
this
need to
issue.
think about it. You need to stop shutting people down. This is getting very irritating. Allow us a minute to speak. You, young lady that just got appointed president, need to understand we are frustrated. And you need to allow us to vent a few seconds.
I understand
and then
that,
it's
and the
over.
time and place for that is at the meeting on the 22nd, when public
You
comments
plan
are
on
open to
adding
all
it to the
topics.
agenda for the next meeting. That's all I'm asking you to do. Thank you. Lord. My 8-year-old. I'm gonna vote straight 12 float guy. Don't you stop me, okay? President, I have to,
I'm
one
no
thing.
longer president.
Okay, I have to make one thing. I said there was 8 people under you who quit. Unfortunately, it was 6. It was 6. All right?
Dutch, I'm
This-
sorry,
wait-
this is not
Wait a
on the
minute.
agenda
You
for
can't-
today's meeting.
You and me,
If
we
you-
have to set up something.
If you would wish to speak about this, you are
Yes,
welcome to
okay.
come to the
I'm
meeting on the
talking to
22nd
man-
and do
man,
so.
I mean this in a statement, okay? I'm sorry about it, but it was 6 people, okay? Unitas top 3.
You're out of order, Dutch. I'm
No,
sorry.
No,
You,
no.
this is not a topic for this
no.
meeting.
This
You are
is just
welcome
like
to
you-
come
you-
on
you
Saturday,
just
the
president.
22nd.
You and Point have turned Ocean Pine down. If we're gonna get another year like that, Ocean Pine is broke. And
Dutch,
exactly
you are welcome to come and
under you
speak
leadership,
about this topic
you
at our
sent
next
the police
meeting.
to my
You are
house.
out of order.
You sent the police to my house. That I the people not to vote for you.
When
And now
I
you're
am a-
president. And now you're president.
Dutch,
Shame on you.
when I am
Shame.
physically assaulted,
Shame.
I will
Shame.
send the
I'm
police to
just like
someone's
the other
house.
people. You have to learn a lesson. The Ocean Pine goes down.
Dutch, when someone assaults me physically, I will call the police. And that is what happened when those police came to your house. Any other public comments?
I'd like to say.
I have a public comment.
Okay. Doug?
I'm going to let this gentleman before me, since he's coming up.
My name is Ken Montville. I live at 41 Brandywine Drive over at Southgate. I'll be brief. I just full disclosure, I'm also a co-defendant in the Rick Farr Ocean Pines lawsuit. And I just want to congratulate Rick on persevering and coming forward and being a member of the board now. And I just hope that come the next election, we can have a nice, smooth process, get some more folks elected that can do good for the Pines, and carry on without all this acrimony.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
You got one more person.
My name is Kathy Toth. I live at 40 Water Green. This is about the elections. I just want to know if the rumor is true that you plan on going back to court and again about the elections.
Consideration of that is not on the agenda for today, so we will not be entertaining public comments regarding that.
Seriously?
Seriously.
This is about
you are
the
welcome
election.
to come to our meeting on Saturday, the 22nd, to bring this topic up. Thank you.
I went to court, they were embarrassed. Ocean Pines.
I don't understand why you don't understand that. You said it's about the election. Are you going
It
to
is-
appeal or not?
Let me read the agenda. The agenda is Elections Committee report, election of officers, appointment of officers, and appointment of the assistant to the officers.
I give up with you guys.
Anything having to do
You
with
guys are
those
gonna have a
topics is
mutant
open
soon.
for public
You're gonna be
comment.
Embarrassed. Bad.
Doug?
I have a public comment. So Doug Parks, 16 Sailors Way. It's been no secret that there's been a lot of dysfunctionality on this board for the past 18 months. I have had very much disagreements with several members of this board to the point where it's not constructive to have any kind of conversation whatsoever. Despite that, as a professional, as someone who's committed to the association, the fact that these officers have changed does not change my commitment to the association. I will continue to work for the betterment of the membership because that's what I signed up for. I've got another year of having been elected twice in a row on this board, and I plan to serve that out regardless of who sits in what officer positions, because it's very important to stress the fact that the officers of the association have no more authority than any of the other directors sitting on the board. And I want to make sure that the membership knows that, And I want to remind my fellow colleagues that in order for us to work together, that has to be paramount in any discussions. And I urge them to drop the animosity, forget what's going on, and let's move forward.
Josette?
Hi, I'd like to have a few words on this. Listen, I know the community's upside down. Welcome as a director, sir. I voted for you as well. Public knowledge, it's out there. Why the community had issues with the allowing to seat you were for what some of us thought was obvious, right, wrong, reasons, whatever that may be. A judge made a decision, and here we are today. I agree with Doug. We need to learn to move on. This is not all about us. I mean, folks here spend thousands of hours volunteering to try to make this right. None of us make a decision on our own. None of us. It takes 7. If you're in a private meeting and information and it's private and it gets out in the street right away, we have a problem with that. And that's the way it is being on the board. It's absolutely, it's a tough spot to be. But a lot of people put a lot of time and effort. We don't control the monies. We don't control anything. We can only advise. And that's what we do. And I hope that you will take this directorship seriously and allow us to grow together as a community. It's not going to help us to bicker once a month, because who wants to go and hang out with that? Not me. And you guys can be mad at all you want. It is what it is. I too feel that we need consistency. I mean, I can't say that enough. It's been a bumpy road from day one from all this. But I voted for you. You see what I mean? So right or wrong. And somebody made a decision that it was okay. And here we are. So we need to get past this as a community, as a whole. This is our home. At the end of the day, if you can't go to the yacht club and have a beer with your neighbor, shame on you. This is what this is about. We're just here to help each other out. That's all I have to say.
Public comment, if I may.
Okay. Richard?
Thank you. I entered this race back in April of last year, and for one reason, and that was to serve our community. And to today, that's my intention. Why did I go to court and challenge this? It's because I believe in law, I believe in what is right, and I believe what is just. I love this Ocean Pines community. I and my family have been here for years, and I plan to stay here and one day retire again. But I have to agree with Josette. We do have to move on. We have to move on. The judge did his ruling, like it or not. We have to move on. I'm not here to boast about what had happened. I'm here to do the business of the community. I promised people that I knocked on the doors and through the many forums that we had and public comments that that's what I was going to do. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. And at the end of the day, it's going to be at the best interest of our community. That's it. Not the best interest of the board, the best interest of every citizen here. That's why I'm here. Period. End of story. Through this whole process, I had been called names. My family was involved. You know, I had issues with my mother's passing that were continually being brought up. For people that don't even know me or don't even know my family, if they want to know who I am as an individual, professional and otherwise, come ask me. Don't assume or presume about me or where I come from or anything like that. I'm here to work with this board for the best interest of our community, period. That's it. And I just want the board to know that, and I also want the community to know that. That's why I'm here, and that's for you, and that's what you're going to get from me.
Richard, thank you.
Colette, I have something. I'd like to make a public statement. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It's nice to see a full room. I've been very vocal about video streaming and including part-timers. So I'd like to see you all back in a productive manner, making public comments about things like bridge repair or issues in the community. We do listen. Comments like that are not helpful. I gave up a job I loved in Ocean Pines to sit here and work 40 hours a week for no pay because I love Ocean Pines. So it's going to be really hard to attract people to the board if this is the reception. The people here, whether or not you agree with their votes or not, are working hard for the community. Been here since 2002. I love Ocean Pines. So please try to come to the meetings and try to help us have a productive meeting. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Patty Stevens. I'm at 171 Nottingham Lane in Ocean Pines. I appreciated everyone's comments and I appreciate the time you all give. I truly would like to understand the process, President Horn, of when it is the time to, I'm just recently starting to come to meetings and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity. What is the process for raising a question and for suggesting an item for the agenda? And so we can know, I think part of the frustration I'm feeling as new to this is how to do that correctly so that everything isn't out of order. And so if you could help
Let me
advise
answer
us
your
on that, that'd be
question.
great.
To request that we discuss a topic as part of our agenda, you may send us an email expressing that request. In regular board meetings, you may make public comments on any topic.
After the topic is mentioned, can you ask a question? When is the time for questions?
We have adopted the practice in the last couple of years of answering questions during public comments up to a point. Still, public comments are confined to 5 minutes. So if the answer requires a dissertation, it may not be practical to do that during the 5 minutes allotted for the public comment. But there's special rules for public comments in special meetings are that the public comments are confined to the items on the agenda for that meeting. The time for general public comments would be in our regular board meetings, which occur monthly.
I still truly don't understand. If, say, the bridge, and you brought up the bridge is discussed, the election is discussed, and you have a question. Sorry. And you have a question, how do you ask a question? That doesn't, I feel like I don't ever want to be out of order. And so
You may bring up questions during public comments. It may be more efficient for you to bring them up by email.
sometimes
if
the
it's going to be a lengthy
right.
answer.
Sometimes the question is related to the material that's presented, and you're
Then during public comments,
raise your hand.
the agendas are published in advance.
Right.
You can see the agendas
Yep.
online, so you know what the board will be discussing. And if you have comments or questions, come prepared to issue those comments or questions during public comments for that meeting.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patty. Any other public comments? Seeing none, then we'll go on to the next topic. Under new business, we will be establishing the regular board meeting schedule, and I want to make some comments about that. Our general manager has asked us during this past year to schedule our meetings so that they occur after the financials are completed for the previous month, so that he can report current data to the public on our financials. The requirement for the financials to be ready is the 13th workday of the month. And so what he is asking us to do is observe that, have our meetings be after the 13th workday of the month. The second request that I would like considered based on hiring needs and based on the needs of our employees is that instead of having our meetings on Saturdays and in the evening, that we have them during the workday, as is the practice of Berlin and the Ocean, the Worcester County Council. I was given data on public attendance at meetings, and I analyzed the data, based on attendance on meetings that were on work days during the workday, defined as 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and attendance at meetings on work days after the end of the workday, defined as 4 p.m. or later, and attendance at meetings on Saturdays. And the average attendance for Monday through Friday during the workday is 22 members in attendance. After the workday defined as 4 p.m. or later, there were 17 members in attendance. And on Saturdays, the average attendance was 22 members. And so holding the meetings in the evening or on Saturdays is not increasing member participation in the meetings. So I'm requesting that our board consider having the meetings during the workday, during the week on a workday. And my suggestion is that we consider the Wednesday following the 13th workday of each month. So any comments about that proposal?
Comment. So
Yeah.
we've had this discussion over the years. Back when I was president, the same issue came up. I understand, and I can certainly, I don't necessarily agree, but I understand why you're bringing something like this up. But what it does, it also marginalizes the people that come here on a weekend that may want to attend a board meeting. I don't think, and especially, and I'll support my point by saying that given that there's no discernible difference between the number of people that attend during the day, during a weekday, during a weekday evening, and a weekend, it serves that since there's no real difference there, there's no reason why we shouldn't be having meetings on the weekend to allow for those folks to come into town an opportunity to attend the meeting. Secondly, we've discussed, and based on the results of the budget and finance meetings that we've had the past couple of days, I'd floated a note to all the board members saying that we should consider Microsoft Teams the virtual meeting environment. That may, in and of itself, once that's available for a board meeting, would stimulate some interest by folks who can actually attend the board meeting from home. And I urge my colleagues to consider that as another method for getting the information that's required to get out to the membership in a manner that we can do so without them having to come here on site.
I'd like to again stress Microsoft Teams. I think that would be great to get our people. And if we time it during a lunch hour for our residents who are working, maybe they could plug in during the lunch hour to at least view the meeting. So I think that would be a great way to get increased involvement.
Larry?
Yeah, I agree with Amy. I think, the whole intent of doing meetings on Wednesday evenings and Saturdays was to generate additional participation from the community. And it quite honestly just hasn't worked. So I think that based on the numbers you've presented, Colette, I think the fact that we're going to go at some point here, I think relatively soon with streaming the meetings and having them interactive, that your suggestion to go on Wednesdays is, I think it's probably fine with me.
Josette?
I also want to chime in. The board meetings, the numbers, 22 members, is pretty staggering. It's amazing. You'd think more folks would be wanting to be involved. But I just want to point out that during the Teams meeting, during the BNF meeting, the Budget and Finance Committee, there was 63 to 67 attendees within those 3 days. And that is pretty impressive. So those are great numbers, and those are folks getting engaged, and that's what we're here for, to get them engaged. So I would be all for that.
John?
Thank you, Colette. So I just want to quick update because it ties into all this. The team is moving forward to get the hybrid system for this room and also for the Assateague. I'll get board approval so that we can accommodate those type of meetings. It's in the process and we're running and everything.
Thank you, sir.
Right, and my understanding is that the staffing requirements from your staff to support the hybrid meetings and the team meetings is greater than for the in-person meetings. So in order to accommodate that, we would be using more staff time, which is, another argument that I have for doing it during the workday, so that we don't have staff month after month having to work outside their regular business day.
Exactly.
And certainly for unexpected special meetings, I think that's a consideration.
Just make another point. I'm going to respectfully disagree. Teams requires little, if any, staff time to set up. Any one of us can set up a Teams meeting and have other people, up to 250 people, invited to a specific session. So to correlate the need for OPA staff to run a Teams meeting is incorrect. I don't see any need to have them involved in that unless there's some special requirement for recording something. But it's an incorrect statement to say that in-person requires less participation from the OPA staff than a Teams meeting.
I guess, Doug, I was referring to the setup that was used for budget and finance, where there were laptops set up for each participant. And that requires time from our IT department and as well as the videographer.
Right, but again, it is no more than any other meeting. Let's, first of all, I think, and I don't want to jump ahead, I believe we've entertained the idea of having our January 22nd meeting as a hybrid meeting using Teams, all right? Based on the feedback that we get from that meeting, I think decisions will need to be made. Most likely, I think it's very clear that we should continue in this virtual meeting environment, especially if COVID doesn't take a turn for the better, and we are forced to do that. I think we need to be prepared in order to conduct our meetings and conduct the business of Ocean Pines. So I offer that let's have the January 22nd meeting, and then as part of our homework, we follow up with that and decide the best way to move forward. But I'm a very big proponent of the virtual meeting environment.
Richard, did you have a comment?
I had one quick question or comment with regarding to meetings during a week. There are a number of folks in the community, as myself, I work full time, and I do have control of my schedule as well with my position. However, I think to the points that have been made, we need to have set hours, specific hours where people can adjust their schedules at work where they can, i.e. the lunchtime. That's a perfect example. But we need to make sure that we maintain consistency when we're doing that, or give individuals enough time in advance to rearrange their schedules to be able to make these meetings, as well as myself to do so, because that's what I plan on doing. So as much advance in our communication effect, I think is the most important to do so, to make sure everybody has an opportunity to participate. Board members have the opportunity to participate in the virtual setting or in-person setting, and also having our residents being able to tag along in and being part of that the new virtual way things are running, as it has been for the past year and a half dealing with COVID. And from the business perspective, things have run very, very well in a business environment going virtual. So I think that type of platform will help us here within our organization to move forward in that way and still be very, very productive.
Thank you, Richard. That actually is a decision that was made in the previous meeting, that we would explore that in the next meeting and move forward with any tweaks necessary to do that. And the point of today's meeting is to set the schedule for the rest of the year so that people can plan on their calendars. So I guess what I'm hearing is that we are in agreement that we would, for this year, try the remainder of this year, try to have our meetings during the workday over the lunch hour, and that we would make them hybrid meetings.
I'm sorry.
You're out of order. Public comments.
She's correct. You are out of order. Hold on one second. I want to go on record as saying, no, I don't agree with that. I agree with part of it. Yes, we should continue to look at the hybrid solution, but to ignore part of our constituency based on some scheduling issues is not serving the community. At the end of the day, there's going to be people that want to have a meeting or want to attend a meeting on the weekend, and we should not be limiting the board meetings to just Wednesday evenings at 7:00. And I won't support that.
I'd like to say something. Doug, you don't support that, but these guys have families as well. And now we're asking them on their off time to come because we make these decisions for them. I'm for the week. I think it's difficult enough to give up all their time and prepare for what our meetings that we impose upon them, to put them in a position to have to give their evenings up and weekends. I find that a big pill to swallow, my opinion.
And I'm going to just make a comment on that, Josette. I think you raise a good point. And Doug, you'll recall when we switched from Saturday meetings to Wednesday evening and Saturday meetings, that was intended as a test run to try it for a year and see how it worked. The data really show that the evening meetings were not very well attended. But I think perhaps it's time for us to do another test run and look at perhaps every other meeting be Wednesday during the day, the alternate meetings being Wednesday in the evening as a compromise measure, gather data on attendance. And certainly during the year, we do receive input from members who have complaints or comments about their ability or inability to attend meetings. So I propose that as a compromise measure.
So let me make sure I understand your suggestion. For the rest of this year through August of 2022, you're proposing that we have every other meeting, one would be Wednesday during the day and another would be Wednesday during the evening.
That's
and
correct.
they would all be hybrid. Is that what I'm understanding you saying?
Yes.
What about, what about the consideration for Saturdays? Are we just basically taking that off the table?
I have a suggestion for that. I was thinking maybe instead of Wednesdays, if we could do Friday during lunch. I know as a longtime part-timer, a lot of weekends, we'd make it a 3-day weekend. So maybe that would help some people who want to attend in person and also the people who are working their lunch hour to plug in. So I'm not sure why it has to be the Wednesday. Maybe a Friday could work.
Well, let me add, that's a reasonable argument. I would say with 8,452 homeowners in here, any day of the week could be argued that it's bad and any day of the week could be argued that it's good. So
I'm
there's
just
no
trying to
one
get the most
solution
people here
will
that we
fit all.
can.
All right. But at the end of the day, and I'd like to respond, Josette, your comment is well taken. The only with regard to staff time and everything, but in the business world, salaried employees sometimes have to go above and beyond the regular workday in order to meet their job requirements. And I just ask you to consider that. Maybe one of the things that Rick, I think you'd sort of hinted at it, is maybe from an operational perspective, the GM, whoever it is at that time, may say, "I'll give this individual some time off." Based on the fact that they had to, use some time over and above the normal workday in order to, accomplish the meeting requirements. So that would be another way to solve that issue.
Larry?
Listen, I was a big supporter when we set this schedule to go Wednesday nights and Saturdays, and the numbers are what the numbers are. We're just not getting the participation. I think that I think we need to try something new, and the numbers show that we get more participation during the work week, and if we're gonna be hybrid, I think we ought to give it a try. It just Wednesday night meetings, we had very few people come to the meetings, and the Saturday meetings, even when we set them, we decided that during the summer we would not set the meetings on Saturday because most people want to be outside enjoying the community. So we didn't do them on Saturdays during the summer. But it doesn't seem to make any difference whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall on Saturdays. We're just not getting the participation. The only time we get the participation is if there is a big issue that people want to come and talk about. And I think that this morning is a perfect example that people wanted to come express their opinions. And that's what we would like to see. I think if people want to express their opinion, they'll make the arrangements to do it during the week Wednesday. Rick, to address your issue about people being aware, the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here is to set the meeting times and dates today so that there is that advance notice so everybody can adjust their schedule, not just the community, but the rest of the directors, because we have other things to do too, even though some of us are retired.
Sir, and to your point, and I appreciate that. I just think, and once again, as I refer to the business world, continuous communication. Yes, we can set the agenda, we can set the schedule, we can set the times and all that. But I think we also have to reinsure and communicate even more so that, hey, there's going to be a meeting here, just being way ahead of the ball game on it. Just to advise people, even though that there has been a schedule set, just make sure that we are ensuring that they're aware. And if it's over communication, then so be it. And then that just keeps us in check, if you will.
Thank you for that remark, Richard. I think if you read the This Week in the Pines email, that information is sent out each week about upcoming meetings. And so I think we're doing a pretty good job of over communicating. And I think that is a point well taken, that making people aware is important. And it's also important for people who want to be aware to avail themselves of the information that is out there already regarding our meeting schedules.
And just to follow up, you know, I don't know if you're referring to the special meetings, but unfortunately when, excuse me, issues occur, and we have to have a special meeting and go into closed session, you know, those things happen as we have to deal with them as they come along. So there's no way to plan for that.
Yeah, and I get that. It's just the ones that are above and beyond that, the regular scheduled meetings, is to have that reinforcement of already the meetings that have been set.
So are we agreeing then that we'll do Friday over the lunch hour meetings?
My preference, if we're going to do it today, do it Wednesday.
That's my preference also.
That would be my preference. And I think, you know, in comment on your concern, Doug, about people who are not full-time residents here participating, I think the hybrid meeting option gives them the ability to be present at the meeting.
That's why
And so I think, so I'm in agreement with Wednesday. Wednesday, I think, is going to work better in terms of the already established advisory committees that are on the books. Those meetings occur on specific days and have for months. And I think Wednesday is the most available day for us in terms of the meeting space and the availability of us, who are also liaisons to all of those advisory committees. So, okay, so I'm proposing the Wednesday following the 13th workday of each month. So let me pull up my calendar here. So in February, the 13th workday is February 17th. And so the Wednesday following, 17th is a Thursday. The following Wednesday is the 23rd.
That is the set date for the Environmental and Natural Assets Committee. They always meet the fourth Wednesday of the month. And that's an 11 o'clock meeting that I attend.
That is the last Wednesday of the month.
Yes, Environmental and Natural Assets always meets the fourth Wednesday of the month. And that's an 11 o'clock meeting. So I'll have to have that. Okay.
Okay. That would work, because we do need to have a monthly meeting with the board. March, the 17th. I'm sorry. Is that?
Not my fault.
Frank, could you mute yourself, please?
It's Frank.
It's Frank's thing.
I'll let him know to mute.
What time?
So 11 o'clock? So 11 a.m.
17th?
on the
On the
23rd of February. And in March, the 13th workday is also Thursday, the 17th. So the Wednesday following would be the 23rd. And so we'll make all of our meetings at 11 o'clock. In April, the 13th workday is the 19th, and that's a Tuesday. So Wednesday, the 20th would be the Wednesday following. So 4/20/22. May, the 13th workday is, did I not write it in here? So,
18.
the 18th.
Yeah.
And that is a Wednesday. So the Wednesday following would be the 25th. 25th of May. And June, the 13th workday is Friday, the 17th. So the Wednesday following would be the 22nd. So June 22nd. And July, the 13th workday is Wednesday, the 20th. So the 13th workday would be, the Wednesday following the 13th workday would be the 27th. So July 27th. And August, the 13th workday is the 17th.
Yeah.
The annual meeting. Yeah, so we don't need that one. So we have February 23rd, March 23rd, April 20th, May 25th, June 22nd, and July 27th at 11 a.m. And the location will be announced prior to each meeting.
Okay.
And then the other item that we need, sorry.
May I just ask a question about scheduling for the annual meeting? Will it still be that first week of August?
Yes.
Okay.
that-
That's in the
Yeah,
bottom.
that's
I
set.
just want to make sure.
Yeah, sorry. And then the other scheduling item we have is an orientation meeting for new directors. And I think we don't have Jeremy here. He usually handles those. So, Richard, we're going to need to, I guess, once you get an email address, we're going to need to email and find a date when Jeremy is available to do
Okay.
the orientation.
Yeah, I'm
And-
getting my email set up right now.
And
as we speak.
Josette and
Yeah.
Amy will be part of that as well because they're new directors. And so we'll defer that for today, but I'll take responsibility for making sure it happens.
Okay.
Thank you. So,
Is Jeremy the lawyer? Sorry. Is that
Yes.
what we're talking about? $600 an hour guy? I'm just asking.
okay, we're not doing public comments right now. We did appoint the Lurch, Early and Brewer law firm today, which is the law firm that we've been using. Okay, so since our business is concluded, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? A second?
What about public comment?
We had public comment.
We don't get to do this. It's Iraq.
We had
What you just did.
Where were you?
Any input from us? This is something you could have done.
There is a second. Is there a second to the motion to
You
adjourn?
wasted our time.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Colette?
Any opposed?
You're wondering why
Okay, the
there's a
meeting is
larger
concluded.
turnout.